It's Monday, September 20th, and this is now on HNN.
To light her way home.
A candlelight vigil is held for Isabella Ariel Kalua as the search for the 6-year-old continues more than a week after she went missing.
They're devastated at the fact that Isabella's missing. It's hard for them to sit there and not physically go and do this investigation.
We're basing it on science and when the process concluded, and here we are today.
The U.S. says it's about to ease foreign travel restrictions. What kind of impact will this have on the local tourism industry?
Even if it came back fully, it wouldn't be that big a deal in terms of international traffic.
Plus, a sneak peek at NCIS Hawaii. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for watching. This is now coming to you from the HNN Digital Center. Jonathan and Ashley here. Want to get started with those latest numbers being reported by the State Department of Health.
The state is reporting 431 new COVID infections today. The breakdown by island shows 290 cases on Oahu, 59 on the Big Island, 38 on Maui, 32 on Kauai, and 12 people were diagnosed out of state.
All right, want to take a live look now at the Reef runway. Check this out. You can see not many planes lined up at this moment, but this all comes as we've learned the U.S. will ease foreign travel restrictions to the country beginning in November. Want to toss it over now to Sammy Salina with all those details.
President Joe Biden's administration announced today that they're going to ease up on restrictions for foreign travel, but the catch is that all international travelers will need to be fully vaccinated. The new rules will go into effect in early November. The White House coordinator says they'll need to demonstrate proof of vaccination before boarding the plane, and they also need to have a negative COVID test result that was taken within 3 days of their flight. For unvaccinated American citizens returning back to the U.S., they will need to be tested 1 day before coming home and another after they arrive. Fully vaccinated Americans will not need to quarantine.
I think it's a pretty good rule if it's protecting us, I'm vaccinated. I think it's safer.
I think that's a complete overreach, and I think it's unfair to people, and I think it's safer to just have them tested.
I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. If people want to be vaccinated, they should get vaccinated. I mean, I'm sure there is that other half that doesn't want to be. Restrictions are restrictions, and I think they're all good. I think it's a good thing.
And here's what the White House had to say about these changes at a briefing just a short time ago.
This is when the process concluded. We want to make the information available to the public. We're basing it on science and when the process concluded, and here we are today.
Do you anticipate that Americans who are coming back to the United States who would be affected by this having to be tested, would there be any opt-out policy for those who don't want to do that?
You mean people who don't want to be vaccinated, who are Americans?
Yeah, unvaccinated Americans who would be flying home from foreign travel.
So there would still be requirements for individuals, Americans who are not vaccinated, including providing proof of a negative test result taken within 1 day of their departure, and providing proof they have purchased a viral test to be taken after arrival for Americans who are not fully vaccinated, which at this point would obviously apply to children as well.
The CDC is also requiring airlines to take contact information for international travelers for contact tracing purposes. Sammy Solina for This Is Now.
Let's talk more about this super important topic of tourism. Howard Dicus joins us once again here in the HNN Digital Center. Howard, what is the update on our arrivals we're seeing here on the islands?
Well, they're still diminishing. They're definitely getting worse. In the last 12 days, we haven't had any day with more than 20,000, usually less arrivals than that. And compared to pre-COVID 2019, we're now down 30% or more almost every day. The only exception, Kauai, which has slightly more domestic arrivals than it did in 2019 so far.
Especially compared to that July spike we saw. That's just a huge drop-off.
Yeah, and of course we get a little bit of a drop-off every year at this time, but nothing even closely approaching this.
And some new numbers regarding hotel bookings, right?
Yeah, the Lodging Association says that they're losing millions of dollars through cancellations. Now, bookings have also slowed going through the end of the year and into next year, but cancellations are so big right now that there's a lot of revenue they were counting on when they brought people back that they now realize they're not going to be getting.
And you mentioned brought people back. What's the ripple effect from cancellations? I think it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, what's going on here, we tend to focus on all of this as a reaction to what we do, but on the mainland, this is going on just as much. And a lot of people live in places where there's a big COVID surge right now, so they're very leery of traveling anywhere. If they can get their money back, they cancel. And in some cases, with vacation rentals, they don't get their money back and they cancel anyway.
All right, one more travel topic I wanted to hit you up about is that announcement from the feds today saying loosening international restrictions. What kind of impact could that have on us? We talk a lot about Japanese visitors, right?
Yeah, very little effect on us. First of all, there's no sign of Japan loosening up anything. The Europeans have loosened up a little, and now we're loosening up on European travel, but we don't get that many Europeans here, a few thousand a year at most, mostly from Britain, France, and Germany. That dried up pretty much, but even if it came back fully, it wouldn't be that big a deal in terms of international traffic.
And you mentioned that Japan's doing nothing to loosen things up, because it really matters what happens for those guests that come here and then return home, what they have to deal with on the back end of the trip, right?
Right. The problem for the Japanese is not what we make them go through, but that when they return, they face 2 weeks in quarantine. So you have the time you take off for your vacation plus that. And that's a non-starter for almost anybody in any country.
Howard Dyke is working all day long for us here at H&N. Look forward for your next report coming up at First at 4. Let's toss it back over to Ashley with more news.
New at noon, Honolulu Crime Stoppers is asking for the public's help in identifying a man who they say robbed a bank in Aina Haina. Last week, Wednesday, just after 1:30 in the afternoon, police say the man entered the Territorial Savings Bank in the Aina Haina shopping center and passed a teller a demand note stating he had pipe bombs in his possession. No bombs were seen. The teller gave the suspect some cash and he ran away. Police say before this incident, the man entered the First Hawaiian Bank in the same parking lot and stood in line, but then walked out. If you have any information, please call Crime Stoppers at 955-8300. Search organizers looking for Isabella Ariel Kalua say they will no longer use Waimanalo District Park as a designated meeting spot for searches. Loved ones will continue their efforts this week, and they ask everyone to keep an eye out for anything that could help bring Isabella Ariel home. Meanwhile, dozens of people from across the island gathered at Waimanalo District Park Sunday night for a candlelight vigil for the 6-year-old. A moment of silence was held, and candles and cell phones lit up the park as prayers were made. While it has been more than a week since the little girl was last seen, community volunteers and loved ones aren't giving up hope. Leave a light on for Isabella was the message behind yesterday's vigil.
The idea behind that was to light her way home. And it's not just for Isabella's way home, it's for any child. If they need a safe place to follow the light, any light that's on, that's a safe haven for them.
It hits home because 2 of my kids are adopted, so it just made me like, I felt both sides, and it just felt like the right thing to do was come out and show our support.
HPD on Friday said they cannot rule out foul play in the disappearance of Kalua because many unanswered questions remain. HPD also said investigators are still trying to figure out if items found in Waimanalo on Thursday belong to the child. In the meantime, the child's adoptive parents, Lehua and Isaac Kalua III, revealed through their attorney Friday that the girl has a history of leaving their home on Puha Street in the middle of the night. That attorney, William Harrison, talked to our managing editor, Daryl Huff.
So it's my counseling in that regard that caused them not to be physically out there, but they're doing everything they can in a support role for this search.
No, the police put out a statement where they said they're not ruling out foul play, and some acquaintances and family members have not been, they didn't use the word uncooperative, but they used the word they have not been interviewed. But you're saying that your clients have not only been interviewed, but have been cooperating in a number of ways, right?
Absolutely. The police officers came to their residence, asked them for consent to search their residence. They spent the better part of the day in the residence taking whatever they wanted to take out based on a consent. They also took all electronic equipment from the house, which included cameras, the equipment for the doors. Whenever the doors are open, they register that, gave them that, made multiple statements to multiple officers and detectives in this case as to what went on. And we have agreed to be recorded in a recorded statement. We've met, we've been interacting with the detectives. So we have done everything we can to meet the obligations of the investigation of the police officers.
One other thing was that I guess a neighbor or two said that they hadn't seen any sign of the girl for a while. How do you explain that? And did she have any disabilities or anything like that that might lend her to do something, impulsive like this?
She had on multiple previous occasions, and this is documented in records and stuff, she would get up in the middle of the night and open the door and go outside. That's clear. So there's a history of that. And so they have found her outside sleeping in the yard at 6 o'clock in the morning on occasions. So, the fact that happened is not unusual with this child. This child, all the children in that family have been foster care and adopted because the parents could not take care of them. And so there's a history there as well. I don't know who this neighbor who claims they haven't seen her in the past and so on. And that's the problem with these, people in the media and the social media. They say whatever they want to say based on the fact that this is a case that's getting some publicity. So I would not place a lot of stock in that. I think that other family members will tell you that she was around until the time they claimed that they did not see her again.
To Wall Street now. The Dow and the broader U.S. stock market fell to close sharply lower today as Chinese real estate conglomerate Evergrande's debt crisis made American investors uneasy. It was the worst performance since May for the S&P and the Nasdaq, while the Dow logged its worst day since July. Stocks spent the whole day deep in the red, and the Dow fell more than 970 points at its low point. The market recovered slightly before the closing bell rang, but it was still an awful session. The Dow finished down 1.8% or 614 points. The S&P 500, the broadest measure of Wall Street, closed down 1.7%, while the Nasdaq fell 2.2%.
New images taken overnight show a tree still down and the pool still closed at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. Did you see the video from over the weekend though? Crews responded to that large tree branch down and 7 people being injured. EMS says the large branch from a banyan tree came crashing down at around 12:15 on Saturday afternoon. EMS said 4 of the 7 patients were transported and treated at a nearby hospital. We've got some new information to pass along. Pfizer announces that medical trials show that its vaccine is safe for children from the ages of 5 to 11. Let's turn it over now to Molalenghi with more on this.
I think it's just been a really wonderful privilege, really, to contribute in this way. And so,
Dr. Richard Chung is an adolescent medicine specialist at Duke Health in Durham, North Carolina. Chung's youngest son, 8-year-old Joshua, took part in Pfizer's recently completed trials for children ages 5 to 11 years old.
I think that everybody should get vaccinated so that things can return back to normal.
Pfizer announced this morning that the trials Joshua took part in showed the vaccine was safe, well tolerated, and resulted in robust neutralizing antibody responses. Those positive results mean Pfizer will now send this data to regulatory agencies around the world, including the FDA and European Medicines Agency, for approval.
The FDA looks at this data and feels confident that it demonstrates that this vaccine is safe and effective for children 5 to 11. You could have a vaccine within a month to 6 weeks.
Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb is a member of Pfizer's board of directors.
Pfizer tested multiple doses to find the optimal dose that had the best compromise between reducing the number of vaccine-related side effects while still providing efficacy that's on par with what we saw in 16 to 25-year-olds.
The vaccine has already been approved by the FDA for use in children 12 and up. Dr. Chung's older son, Caleb, took part in those trials.
I wanted to participate in the trial in order to
help motivate other kids to get the vaccine.
Pfizer's announcement comes at a pivotal time in the fight against COVID-19. The most recent American Academy of Pediatrics report showed the second highest number of childhood COVID cases for any week since the pandemic began. The spike in cases has been driven by the Delta variant, which has disproportionately affected the unvaccinated.
I'm really proud of them, seeing them kind of courageously take this step and to do so really enthusiastically has just been a remarkable experience, not just as a pediatrician, but certainly as a dad.
We should note that 8-year-old Josh was not sure whether he received the placebo shot or the real vaccine. He told us his symptoms were not severe. Mola Lengi, CBS News, New York.
One of the co-founders of an anti-vaccination group is quitting the organization after getting COVID. He's encouraging the public to avoid large crowds and rallies to prevent the spread. Rick Daysog has his story.
This cause is not worth dying for.
Last October, Chris Wyckoff helped co-found the Aloha Freedom Coalition because he felt government shutdowns and mandates were ruining businesses and threatening individuals' liberties.
And they were talking about vaccine passports and vaccine mandates, and it just seemed like it was over-the-top totalitarian control. We were told that the COVID virus is not that deadly. It's nothing more than a little flu. Well, I can tell you it's a lot more than a flu.
Wyckoff, a 66-year-old retiree, thinks he got infected with the Delta variant during a church event in August. He was first sent to Queens Medical Center West, then to Queens Medical Center downtown due to the lack of bed space.
Now all of a sudden I'm in a bed, I can't move, can't breathe. And, we weren't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for that. If I died, then I know my wife would have a hard time sorting things out on her own because we haven't really prepared well enough.
It must have been a terrible experience.
It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying, a life-changing experience.
Even though he was treated with remdesivir, he still hasn't been vaccinated yet, but he's still considering it.
Probably getting COVID again would be more dangerous than getting a reaction from the vaccines.
He's also warning others not to take part in anti-mandate rallies and protests, including those held in front of Lieutenant Governor Josh Green's home.
I think that we should be more concerned about safety than about protesting. I think people should not be getting together in large groups for the purpose of protesting.
Officials hope that Wyckoff's about-face will help undermine some of the rallies and protests against the vaccine and some of the mandates.
I feel terribly for this gentleman because I feel bad that he got sick. He obviously was getting bad advice, and I feel terrible that a lot of other innocent people probably held off on getting vaccinated because they were, listening to these fear attacks.
Were you afraid you were going to die?
Yes. I was afraid I was going to die.
Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
And the Aloha Freedom Coalition sent us a statement when asked for comment on our story. A group spokesperson says they are grateful for Mr. Wyckoff's volunteer efforts with the group and they wish him well. They vow to continue fighting against those mandates.
All right, we want to switch gears here now, get you a check of the weather, turning it over to Guy Hoggy.
Rainfall will be light, and we're likely to see these overnight and early morning showers for windward neighborhoods over the next several days. And rainfall totals will be light because mainly we'll have these breezy winds that push along those showers at a good pace that limits the rainfall buildups, right? It's going to be especially windy from Maui to Kauai, not so much over in Kona where the winds will remain rather light. So we're going to see a beautiful trade wind weather day. And take a look at this picture and take note of where you live, and that's what's likely to happen for today. And this is likely to happen for the next several days as well. No major changes coming with regard to the weather, but we are seeing some changes ahead for the surf in that we're going to get a nice little boost coming into north and west shores tomorrow. That's right, the power switch is on. And then on Wednesday, we'll likely see another nice little swell move into the south shores. And the overall weather pattern is not going to change in any significant way anytime soon, although the winds will get stronger tomorrow with a few more showers expected for those windward areas, and the winds will get stronger again starting on Friday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Tonight, the world's most successful series, NCIS, is back with a new chapter, NCIS Hawaii. It premieres tonight on our sister station, KGMB. Check out this preview.
First shot, here we go.
Take a marker.
Jane Tennant, Special Agent in Charge, NCIS Hawaii. What I love about this show is that it is coming off of a very successful franchise, the NCIS franchise, but it's evolving it in a way that is showing the first female Special Agent in Charge. When anyone on my team gets in trouble, I'm the first call. Can't help if I don't know. Jane Tennant is the Special Agent in Charge that oversees about 40 agents, but specifically I have my top 4. The 5 of us make up NCIS Hawaii.
Vanessa helms a show in such a captivating way.
She's the captain, very much so, in real life and on the show.
Jesse, I need you to
Hook up with Ernie, dive into Commander Walter's private life.
please and thank you.
A single woman who has got 2 kids, who's our boss, who's the first female lead of the show. And that really is what makes the show even more special besides it being in Hawaii.
I fully welcomed the Aloha spirit. That wave of love is something that surprised me, and I'm all about it.
Some sea, some surf, some beautiful scenery. It's just really nice to be here in Hawaii working.
Every episode, you get to learn a little bit more about the culture, about the people.
Kalua pig, manapua, and lokomoko. Yeah, extra gravy. You want anything?
Is that all for you?
Thought I'd bring some culture to the team.
It just lends itself for these big premises, but very true and grounded premises, which is good TV.
It's really exciting, it's captivating, it's action-packed.
How far behind are we? Let's just say go faster.
The female lead, it's on the island of Oahu, and it's NCIS. So you've got a perfect trifecta.
Oh, yeah. Looks good.
Oh, yeah.
Very special night tonight on KGMB, and a very special day for our Ashley.
Oh, thanks, John.
Happy birthday.
Thank
my
you.
friend. Happy
Thanks.
birthday. I made sure that premiere happened today just for you.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Let's see what else the internet's talking about. All right, so Toyota has announced plans to roll out its own hybrid pickup
Yes.
truck. Very cool, right? A lot of Toyotas around the island. The company says the latest version of the Tundra pickup truck will include hybrid twin-turbo V6 option. If it released this video showing what the truck's new features are, Toyota says the hybrid system will have more horsepower and torque than Tundra's standard engine. Toyota's Tundra joins F-150s as getting on that hybrid truck bandwagon.
I'm waiting for the hybrid Tacoma.
Yeah, right? Why wouldn't they
Yes.
choose the Tacoma?
I don't know.
I don't know. Everyone loves the Tacoma.
Mm-hmm. Well, Samuel Adams is releasing a new limited edition beer, but many won't be able to buy it. This is why. It's so potent, it will be illegal to sell in more than a dozen states.
Whoa.
Now, a new version of Sam Adams' Utopia's brand contains 28% of alcohol by volume, more than 5 times your typical U.S. brews. Now, the company is only making about 13,000 bottles, and it can't be sold in 15 states, including Georgia. For those who are able to buy it, you can do so starting October 11th, and it will cost you about $240 for a 25-ounce bottle.
Woo.
Yeah, steep.
Yeah, that seems very steep and very much full of alcohol.
Yes, could be
might
dangerous.
get you a little wobbly on your birthday.
For sure. One beer goes a long way. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is doing awesome in U.S. box offices, but China's film board has not approved it for release there. Apparently, Chinese nationalists are criticizing the star Simu Liu, who was born in China but grew up in Canada. That's weird.
Yeah, and don't forget, Stephanie Lum has a special podcast that involves the mother of the director of the movie who's from Maui. Very cool story she's put together there.
Yep.
So that's going to do it on this Monday. Ashley, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Ashley. All right, well, have a good birthday, Ashley. You still have to work at First at 4. We'll
I
see you
do.
back here then. You guys have a great one. Bye.